Welcome back. Time now 6:52. 240 years ago this week, history is made in Alaska. English Captain James Cook arrived on what we call Cook Inlet today.
But did you know a small treasure from his expedition is still said to be buried here to this day? In this week's Storytime with Aunt Phil, author Laurel Downing Bill tells us where it's believed to be.
We know where that treasure isn't buried, here at Resolution Park in Anchorage, where a statue of Captain Cook stands in his honor.
We'll get to that treasure in just a minute, but we want to start with Cook's legacy. And Laurel, I know it's one that begins right around the time our nation declared its independence.
8 days after the American Revolutionaries signed the Declaration of Independence, Captain Cook and his crew sailed out of England on their way to find that fabled Northwest Passage. In fact, as they pulled out of Plymouth Sound, they were passing ships that were loaded with troops heading to America to fight those doggone rebels.
I know we're in the age of speedboats, but back then, how long did it take Cook to get to Alaska?
It took him almost 2 years. He arrived on May 27, 1778, and he put his anchor down in what we call Anchor Point. That's what he listed it on his charts. Now, the day before, he had seen a really tall mountain, and he called it St. Augustine because May 26 was St. Augustine's Day.
So, Laurel, when did Cook realize that, hey, you know, people already live here?
He saw smoke coming up from the banks as he was passing by, and then a couple canoes came out to him with men on board, and he made note that they looked similar to the people he had seen in Sandwich Sound. And Sandwich Sound, you say? Where the heck is that?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, Captain Cook had named this point Sandwich Sound for his patron, who was the Earl of Sandwich. But it didn't take long for that name to be changed to Prince William Sound, as we know today, after King George III's third son.
Sounds much better.
Good decision.
Yeah. So closer to Anchorage, it wasn't actually Cook who was forced to turn around, it was his crew?
Yeah, the big ship just couldn't get any further up. In fact, they had trouble every time the tides came in. They had to set anchor so they wouldn't lose ground. So they sent two smaller boats up the river, and pretty soon the guys came back and told Cook, sorry, we couldn't go anymore because it just narrowed too much. We had to turn around. And so Cook named it then River Turn Again, and then claimed the river and the land for England.
But forget about that. We want to know where the treasure is, Laurel. Where is the treasure?
Well, when they claimed the land for England, he sent some of his men ashore, and they buried a bottle that had coins from 1772, as well as parchment that wrote down the discovery and the Resolution as the ships that made the discovery and the date of the discovery. And they buried it on a point that we call Point Possession, which is on the Kenai Peninsula, and it's about maybe 26 miles up from Nikiski,
My old stomping grounds.
in the Kenai National Wildlife Refuge. Yeah, and the treasure to this day has never been found. But of course, we have found a lot of other treasures in Alaska, like our fisheries and oil and timber. So it's been quite the successful voyage, I would say, for Captain Cook.
26 miles up the road, Megan. Is a metal detector in your future?
I think so. I'm going to have to borrow one, head back out there. Who knows? There's a lot of rivers and lakes out there, so it could have moved around. We need to really get in and look at the maps.
Or could not have.
Right. Take Laurel with us.
Check it out.